Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We are running into our player props video, favorite video of each and every weekday. Going to go ahead and give you some of our best bets in these. Nate's got a great article up on playpicks.com as well with some best bets and player props in there. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page so you can check out those other couple videos that we've got up for you today. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, Steph Curry going through a little bit of a slump, certainly by his standards, but you can't expect it to last much longer. No Draymond Green tonight, but he still averages 26 points per game in games without Draymond. He's dropped 26.5 points per game his last two, despite facing some tough defenses in his last two road games. He's been at Dallas and at Memphis, two of the best three-point defenses out there. Prior to that, at least 5 triples in 5 straight road games. We mentioned in the game video for this one, he's topped 36 points in 6 straight when the Warriors are underdogs against an Eastern Conference team. This is obviously a premier matchup at Milwaukee, a team that gives up the second most three-pointers per game and the second highest percentage of points off threes. And Drew Holiday is out, who even with Drew out there, Steph dropped 41 on this team last April. Drew scored 29 points on the other end, so that made him work on both ends. He's not going to have to do much heavy lifting here on defense, and I think it's time. The Warriors lost 3 of their last 4. It's time for Steph to break out for sure. 26.5 points is pretty low for such a prolific scorer, and you're getting plus odds on him to hit 5 threes. Love that in this matchup. Not necessarily taking the Warriors to win, but I do like Steph to keep them close with a lot of good shooting.
Yeah, hopefully his shooting comes back. That's what's been down for him a little bit is his splits there. Everything else has been pretty much the same throughout, around 27 points, around 6 boards and 6 assists and just hovering around all of those. Even when, he's struggling to shoot, he's actually gotten those ancillary stats just as much, actually raising it a little bit more in his last 5. He's averaging about 15 boards and assists combined. Part of that, what we talk about in the episodes, I think he does want to get Clay back in there. He's super excited to get him the ball again. But just as much as anything, I think, he had that triple double the other night against Memphis in their loss. So it's like, no matter what happens with Golden State, which I don't know if they're going to be able to pull out of their rut tonight again in Milwaukee, but I do think Steph continues his ways. He's had great numbers against them, Milwaukee as well. So I think you also consider 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists for him, just because he is getting those ancillary stats at such a high rate that his PRA has been above 40 in each of the last 5 games. So moving on to another guy with probably just as much confidence, if not more, than Stephen Curry is Ant Edwards on Minnesota. And in that game the other night against New Orleans, it was an incredible show that he and Brandon Ingram put on in the fourth quarter. Ant had about 18 points in that quarter to end the game, close to 30 there after having a pretty bad first half, because he's a guy that just turns it on whenever he wants, basically. And so 21.5 points tonight against a Memphis team that at home, I think we're still, Memphis is at home, but I still think we're going to see a ton of points in this game as the total's at 232 in his last 4 versus Memphis. Ant's averaging 28.5 points on 63, 70 from 3 and 75% splits, shooting almost as well from 3 as he is from the free throw line. And 137 individual offensive rating while only having about a 26% usage rate. Please get that man the ball a bit more, which I know can be tough with D'Lo on the floor, but they're playing well. I think Ant might be, maybe a little bit better as their primary scorer, obviously, but either way, tonight he'll get the ball plenty. In his last 5 overall, he's averaging over 24 points on really, really good splits, 51 and 47 from 3 still. And that usage rate's still at about 26%. You're hoping to see that go up a little bit, but still, he's been so efficient from everywhere that he's been on the floor as of late that 22 points feels really, really low for him.
Yeah, and like everyone on the Wolves, his scoring jumps up on the road. They score 10 more points per game out there. His offensive rating jumps from 101 to 107. Usage rate goes up to 28%. And as you mentioned, he loves playing Memphis. Memphis is running and gunning right now and scoring a ton. So I think you can definitely look at 22 points here as a competent bet. I would go out on a limb and say take Ant to lead all scorers at plus 400 because Ja is not necessarily, he's doing a lot of distributing. He's not necessarily guaranteed to blow up in this one. And Karl Anthony Towns, maybe not as much against a really good interior defense. Maybe it's Anthony Edwards who carries the offense tonight. Looking at a game here with the Pelicans, who have been surprisingly awesome on offense lately. They host the Clippers, which is not a good offensive team at all, leads to a ton of rebounds. The second highest defensive rebounding rate in the league, as they shoot just 44% from the floor this season. That's fourth worst. They also give up the fourth most paint points. So the Pelicans coaching staff is aware of this, and that is why they feed Jonas Valanciunas when they face this team. In the last three, it's been the Brandon Ingram show. He has a bit disappointing numbers against the Clippers, though, which, a team that has a lot of good wing length and depth right now. That's basically all they're playing, right? They're playing Marcus Morris at the 5 a lot. And, he played Ivica Zubac started, but only played 10 minutes in their last matchup with the Joker. He posted a 128 defensive rating the last time he faced the Pelicans and got the quick hook after 18 minutes, which left Joe Val to just do whatever he wanted. In his last two against this Clippers team, 32.5 points per game, 14 rebounds per game, 30% usage rate. His points and rebounds combined is below that points average at 29.5. It's just time to circle back to Joe Val, who's been a bit quiet over his last three, but, could easily put up some big numbers here, mainly with the rebounds just to get over that. I could see him going, you can get 14 plus rebounds in a win at some real good plus money, or go conservative and just say double-double in a win, which is pretty much a lock, is plus 140 for Jonas. Maybe the win is not a lock, but the double-double is certainly going to be there against this Clippers team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't love the Clippers right now. They really benefited from being at home after scoring 28 points in the first half and then coming back against the Nuggets. But like I said, they needed to be at home to pull that back off. And the Pellies are somewhat hot, especially on offense, as you mentioned. And Brandon Ingram might not have the greatest numbers as of late against the Clips, especially. Maybe they'll try to take him out of the game as they have been, which only leads to more Joval. And so, yeah, I mean, 17.5 points, too, feels really, really low for his point total. But the points and rebounds as well. I mean, he's averaging that more than that on the season. And as you mentioned, what he's done in his last two meetings versus this team and just destroying Ivica and basically just playing him off the floor right away. So sticking to this game, though, and going to a guy that we have not yet mentioned. Not many people probably have. He's only had about a cup of coffee so far in the league. That is Amir Coffey, who we cannot stop the broadcasters from yelling caffeine every time he shoots threes, which I'm kind of here for. But, what he's done lately is a little bit more eye-opening, and they've been missing a bunch of guys that are important to them on offense. Have the Clippers, as was shown by their 28 points in the first half that they scored last time out. But Coffey, 16.5 points and rebounds combined. We're looking at, like I said, what he's done as of late. In his last two, he's got 39 points, 10 boards, and 12 assists in those two combined. And then in the last win that they had over Denver that I mentioned, he had 43 minutes in that game. So with that much time on the floor, you got to feel pretty good about somebody getting about 4 or 5 rebounds, right? And so those points and the fact that he's getting a little bit more, a few more touches on offense while he's on the floor because there's nobody else hitting. Everyone else seems to be pretty cold, and the fact that he's a 6'7" shooting guard, and like you said, they don't really have much size all over the floor. It's good to at least be taller at some positions. So that's why you see him all over the place. He's really, really good on defense. Is really where he's made his bread, and the reason he's got a spot in the NBA up to date. But you've seen that those hustle points come from rebounds, as he's had a bunch of those in his last couple of games, and he's getting a few more touches, like we mentioned, in a way that I think you can still find some value with his props so low, and even that 11.5 points feels pretty good.
Yeah, it's an undrafted free agent on a two-way contract right now. He's going to go for those 50-50 balls. He's going to be good rebounding. You mentioned how big he is. He's kind of a Terrence Mann duplicate, in terms of that wing presence, a guy who will hustle, who will get out on the floor. Him and Mann had some good combinations there to lead that comeback against Denver. Coffey with 4 steals in that game. Ty Lue can't really take him off the floor right now with no Paul George, Luke Kennard, other guys out. And the Pelicans, as we mentioned, are playing high scoring recently. and they're 28th in field goal percentage allowed, 26th in 3-point percentage allowed. So yeah, coffee, it's a new drink for everybody here. But I would jump on board here in what should be his third game, getting a heavy dose of minutes.
And for those keeping score at home, that is 2 for 2 on coffee puns in this segment. And that is all the time that we have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Going to try to stay hot with these player props. Unfortunately, no Malik Monk playing tonight to save us as he did last night. But we'll look to keep staying about 3-1 as we've been maintaining in the year 2022. And until we see you next, happy betting.